Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Lead Square webinar. Today, we will be talking about the roadmap to EdTech sales, how to improve inquiry to the conversion rates. And we have with us today two phenomenal speakers. We have Mr. Rajesh Durai, who is the VP Growth and Strategy at Knowledge Hub Upgrad. And we have Mansi Singhal with us, who's the Director of Strategic Accounts here at Lead Square. And we will be discussing how are certain sales teams and processes built to have better conversion rates, what kind of technological impacts does it have, what are some of the new pillars of sales, and how to bring that balance between acquisition and retention metrics. So I will now hand over the stage to Mansi, and then we shall continue to have this wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Jagrati, for the introduction. I hope my voice is clear. So, considering considering the number of edtech players which are growing and considering the competition which is rising, we have seen the industry overall has been focusing on improving on the efficiency and also on the higher conversion. So, when we talk about conversion percentage can be dependent on what category the edtech falls under. But what we've seen is there can be certain common, hacks which are probably more category agnostic. So if we talk about it, there are, the edtechs are focusing on being more efficient. They are focusing on being better, having a better conversion rate. They're focusing on profitability and probably more sustainable business. So all this has become more of a talk of a town, and obviously it is more important, and it has become the need of the hour as well. So, in order to understand all these better, we have Rajesh with us today. He's leading strategy and growth for one of the most stable edtech and business, which is blossoming during this edtech winter as well. So, Rajesh, I would want to understand from you. Tech has different category to it. There are different segments. It can be a K3, it can be a K9. We talk about test prep as one of the segments. There is certification, upskilling being another, category. So, do you see that there are certain common elements and common processes which each segment follows, which probably helps them in driving the conversions?
Sure. First of all, thanks for inviting me, Mansi and Jagrati. It's nice talking to you guys again. As I carry almost 18 plus years of experience, and predominantly I work completely into the customer acquisition and strategy, right? So these are the main pillars that I have worked all along. So even in a tech segment, if you look at depending on the category, the conversion rate differs. Again, further, it again depends on the channel, right? So on what is the channel that we are choosing to acquire those customers, right? As you know, again, each channel has its own competition, right? And even if we are dividing the edtech segments into three different categories, like more of like today a lot of fresh graduates are looking to upskill, right? Like who are looking to enhance their career, they wanted to do a skill development, right? So if you look at that particular category, which is more competitive today, right? Like because as you know, after the pandemic, there is a lot of career opportunities that have opened for the fresh graduates, especially like the full stack development or data science and the recent AI development, right? So these are the very top categories where a lot of these fresh graduates are looking to develop their skills. And in if you look at these categories, the conversion rate completely depends on what is that requirement in the industry today and what is that we are serving. Like if there is a clear match between what is the need and what is that we are delivering, definitely the conversion rates are much higher. right? So it's very important that we cater to the specific need of the industry, right? Like, again, if you look at different, like, people who are corporates, like, who are
Mm.
looking to upskill their career, right? And when we are acquiring these customers via different channels, again, the conversion rate differs there as well, right? So the ultimately the conversion rate completely depends on what is the channel that we are choosing,
Right.
and what is the kind of persona that we are targeting on those channels, and how we are segmenting. Based on all different criterias, the conversion rate varies.
Right, because you spoke about channels, right? So, actually, talking about channel is the most important part of it, because when we talk about customer acquisition, so this is the first step for any edtech, which is generating the leads, and these leads can come from offline or online channels. So, because you mentioned channels, do these channels work equally across these categories, or are there certain channels which perform better? If you can throw more light on that.
Yeah. See, when it comes down to channel, let's say example, we can just pick the the top channels, like the paid channels, right? So in paid channels, again, the audience, right? What type of audience that we are catering, and what is the the kind of demographics that we are catering, right? Based on that, we need to choose the particular channel. So there is a lot of in edtech, there are a lot of categories which have a natural demand in the market. That means they already have an intent to buy that particular program, right? So they are already coming with an intent to buy, right? In those type of situations where there is a natural demand for that particular category, and there is already an intent for that the students or the graduate to purchase that particular program, then that particular channel will perform better compared to any other channel, right? Because in those scenarios, it is more about how we are going to uh, project our company, how we are going to fulfill their needs, right? So based on that, we'll be able to acquire more customers at a better conversion rate. So in terms of choosing the channel, the very first important thing is just to see how is the demand for that particular program, and
Correct.
what is the kind of demographics that you are going to target, and
Mm.
based on that, you will be able to choose that particular channel. So now, again, paid, there are organic. Then today, the especially the social media channels are performing much better, right?
Right.
And with the upcoming AI, so obviously the search volumes are going to reduce
Mm.
in coming years, right? So today, a lot of search is happening on YouTube. Today, a
Right.
lot of search is happening on social media channels like Instagram and LinkedIn, right? So where all the that is where the content marketers are fighting to grab that attention of the users, right? So there are a lot of channels, but for you to choose a specific channel, the very first
Mm.
important factor is choose your demographics, your audience, segment them properly, look at where they have a natural demand. Based on that, you can select the channel and then look at the conversion.
Right, understood. Also, there is a lot of talk around, having offline channels where there are certain partners and affiliates who are helping build and generate your leads. So, do you think that also works across segment, or are there particular segments where this sort of arrangement works better?
Yeah. So, like, when it comes to the offline channel, we can definitely, there is a lot of partnerships or affiliates which are working, right? So we can definitely, choose any of the channels based on, like, what is the USP that the partner is going to bring along with the companies, right? So
Right.
it should not be partner more of only just like just a selling,
Hmm.
but it should also be a partner who's going to bring in a lot of value to the students.
Right. And assuming now the lead is generated, right? Now, let's move to the next step where we are talking about how do we nurture the lead, right? So, what we have seen across edtechs is one of the most common SOP is around first response time, that people focus on having shorter FRTs, right? So, really think that it creates an impact if you have a short FRTs? And also, what are the touch points which actually are more, efficient? And while we speak about FRTs in general.
Yeah, yeah. See, like as soon as we get a lead, it's very important that we touch base the lead as soon as possible, right? Because speed is a very important element here. Because if you are able to touch base with the customer within that less than that 15 to 20 minutes, right? The engagement for you is very higher, right? Today, a lot of our learners, they are all looking for the instant gratification, right? And whenever there is a clearly there is an inquiry which is coming to you, and then there is a prospect who's having a very high interest level, it's very important that we talk to him when he have that high interest level, right?
Hmm.
So that will help you to get that competitive edge. Otherwise he is going to go look out for other competitors in the market, right? It's not only just he's going to put that inquiry only on your website, right? So he's going to put that inquiry on all the websites, correct? So it's very important that what is the first response time,
Hmm.
how soon you are going to engage with that particular learner, and what are the learners expectations, and how you are going to gain that engagement, right? uh, See, otherwise if we are just only going to address that only that particular inquiry, right? Today it's not about what is that learner is asking,
Right.
rather than what is the problem the learner is facing, right? A lot of learners, let's say example, there might be a challenge where is out of job for 6 months, right? And
Right.
he is going to come to an that particular skilling company only to learn a specific skill, which is there, which he thinks there is a demand in the market, like based on the trends, and that is why he is coming to you, right? So we need to identify what are the challenges of the learner, on what is his objective, why is he looking to upskill, right? Is it for his career development, or is it just for a job change, or is it for a for his lifelong learning? So what are his objective? Based on the objectives we should be able to cater immediately, right? We should also be able to show what are the different needs
Hmm.
that we can help the particular student.
So does that mean I mean, having the first response time should always be by a sales counselor, or do you think first response time can be by other channels as well? I mean, when I say other channels, can it be an SMS? Can it be an email? Or do you think always it is always important to have that human touch when we talk about FRTs, and to ensure that we understand the problem statement of the potential learner?
Uh, See, it's good if we can have the first element as a human touch, followed by lot of other reading materials, or case studies, testimonials, etc. But my preference always is to have the first human touch, so that we know the clearly what is the expectation from the learner, and then followed by all the rest of the we anyways have a lot of notification systems today, right? But if you do the notification first, let's say if you get an inquiry, and based on the inquiry, if you're going to send him the recommendations, right?
Right.
Recommendation in terms of learning, etc. We are not sure if that is what the expectation from the learner, right?
Correct.
So it's always better to have the first touch, and then look at what kind of problems the learner is facing. Based on that, we can always suggest a lot of learning materials, or there can be free demo. Today a lot of edtech companies are doing a lot of free master classes, free counseling sessions, free demo sessions, right? So that will help him to make the decisions faster, right? But
Right.
that will come the second stage, right? So the very first thing is better to have the human touch, understand the need in first place, and then followed by your regular processes.
Got it. So, in order to have a quick human touch, right? That means there is someone. So, when we talk about from the edtech perspective, that means there is a lead which is generated, and there is someone who's assigned that lead. So, in a way, we are saying that the lead has to be distributed in a right manner. And when we talk about lead distribution, we have seen various edtech follows, different way of distributing these lead. It can vary from distributing the leads manually by the managers versus distributing the lead basis some logic around skill, language, probably the geography as well. It can be basis the performance of the sales counselor also. So there is a lot of variation here how the lead distribution happens. So for any edtech, how do they actually decide that what is the right way of doing the lead distribution? Is it, I mean, how do they decide that?
See, in terms of the today, see, most of the companies are doing automated lead distribution only, right? Because the kind of volumes are very high. So the manual intervention will further delay the first response time. So it's very important that the leads getting assigned automatically via the CRM system itself. So that there is no any manual intervention, there is no any leakage in terms of the leads, right? And when we are planning to do the configuration of the lead assignment, the lead assignment should be basically depend on the skill of the particular agent, right? So
Hmm.
because the moment we get an inquiry, we know what is the program of interest from the learner, what
Hmm.
is he looking to upskill himself. So based on that particular category, we need to assign the first level is always the skill, right?
Hmm.
Whether the particular agent possesses the required skill to cater through that particular lead, right?
Hmm.
And then followed by there can be agents who are catering to very specific channels, because today, see, every channel requires a different follow-up strategies, right?
Right.
When there is a learner coming via a paid channel, when a learner is coming via an organic channel, that requires a very different nurturing compared to where a particular learner is coming via social media, right?
Hmm.
When he's coming via social media, even though he's interested in the product, but the trust factor is very less, right? So the nurturing takes more time. So
Hmm.
that is will come the second level. So the first level will be based on the skill, whether the agent possesses the specific skill to counsel the learner. Second, in terms of the channel, right? So what through which channel is coming and what kind of nurturing it requires. Does the learner requires any kind of demo session, any kinds of one-to-one counseling?
Hmm.
Based on all that, the second and third level can be taken up.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the intent of the lead, right? It can vary, and basis the
Yes.
intent of the lead, you can decide whom to assign it. I mean, and probably intent is defined by which channel they are coming from, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned about basis the skills. We've also seen a lot of edtechs, they focus on giving more leads to sales counselors who are able to do better, right? I mean, if they're performing better, they would want to give high intent leads to them. Do you think this makes an impact or a difference in terms of the conversion if you're looking at performance based lead distribution?
Yeah. Just before answering that question, one thing that I would like to highlight is when it comes to the intent based leads, right?
Right.
Yeah, definitely the intent based leads are much better. And salespeople always look for the leads which have that more high intent because the closure rates are higher, right? But for the company, the cost of acquisition of these leads are very high, right?
Hmm.
Today in EdTech, the CPL costs are it's very high, right? Compared to 5 years back, 6 years back.
Right.
Today, you can't cater to all the needs via just an intent based, right?
Hmm.
So there are also a lot of today there's a lot of new social selling that is happening where you will be able to generate demand in the market, without any intent based, right?
Hmm.
So those are very effective channels where you can get the same quality of lead at a very low CPL,
Right.
right?
Got it.
So it is very important, not only we need to cater to the intent based leads but also the leads which are coming via the demand generation channels, right? Like your blog, through your social media post, through maybe founders giving any they also do a lot of interviews, YouTube, etc. So
Hmm.
because even today founders are also acting as an ambassadors for a lot of edtech companies, right? So
Yes.
all the leads coming via these channels also have a low intent, but the quality is really good. Only thing is the nurturing process are very different for this.
Actually, that's a very interesting point. And while we will discuss about performance-based distribution, I just quickly wanted to ask because I was a bit curious about this. You mentioned that there are a lot of ethics where the founders, they are part of that inbound pull of the leads. So, do you think having a good content definitely helps in getting more leads, more inbound leads?
Yeah, 100%. See, it has worked for us, because like if you look at even knowledge at recently, our CEO has given a interview for a TV. Like it's a very genuine interview where he clearly mentioned like lot of youngsters can develop their skills, and then where they can develop their career and then go to the job market. So based on that interview, we got almost like 12 million views for those
Oh,
content, right?
wow.
Yeah.
That's
uh,
amazing.
yeah, and we even receive more than like 5,000, 6,000 leads across different channels based on that particular interview. So I can clearly say the content really works, especially the video content that you are going to distribute across all different channels. It is working, and there is a clear need in the market where learners are interested, and they also feel motivated, right? Like when they listen to such talks, when they see, okay, so there are a lot of career opportunities which they are missing out, then based on those content we are able to generate the demand in the market. And just based only, we should understand, okay, where are these leads coming from, right? We should not treat all the leads as the same, right? So
Right,
that is very important, because like there is no one fits all kind of thing. Like
right,
social media content leads are different, YouTube leads are different, even in social media, Instagram leads are different, LinkedIn leads are different, right?
right.
So we
That's right.
should understand how we should cater to these leads which are coming from different sources, and based on that we need to plan our nurturing. And
Right,
as you said, previously, your question on the reactivation, right? Like there are a lot
right.
of leads. So these are all like when we are looking at the your typical sales funnel, there always be leads in your mid funnel, right?
Hmm.
Which requires reactivation. So
Correct.
reactivation is a very good strategy, because you will be able to reactivate these leads at a very low cost. Only the chances, people who are already having a good exposure to this particular that program of interest. So
Hmm.
if we are able to reassign the leads for people who are performing better, then the chances of reactivating and closures are good.
So basically, generally high performing sales counselors would get leads which are reactivated leads, and leads where it is highly likely to get converted. Understood. Also, I mean, it is true, right? I mean, while any sales counselor would try to nurture and convert a lead, that potential customer may not buy immediately.
Yes.
It may take some time, right? While and there is another type of customer who may be your repeat customers, who are repeat buyers. So, do you think, I mean, what sort of impact a lead nurturing kind of create when we talk about leads who are not immediately buying, or leads or customers who are repeat buyers? How important is, that brand recall, having referrals from these people?
Yeah. So in terms of the reactivation, there are a lot of different personas, right? Like
Hmm.
some people postpone their decision because of the cost. There are some people who postpone the decision just because they are not sure whether they need to do that particular course today. And there are people who don't have the trust, right, to buy the particular program from the particular company, right? So for even any kind of marketing, it's very important that we segment these audiences clearly, based on their, it could be based on their inquiry stage, or there are a lot of companies follow different practices to understand why that particular lead requires a nurturing. Is
Right.
it because they lost the lead because the cost is high, or they lost the lead because they are not showing interest right now? There can be
Hmm.
future prospects, and there can be people who require more information, right?
Hmm.
And also based on the different other criteria like your age, the location, what is their the skill, whether they're already skilled and looking to upskill, or change their career track, or they are all fresh graduates. Based on the different demographics and the program of interest, we need to segment these audience, and
Hmm.
then start the nurturing process, right? So the nurturing should not be like a blanket nurturing where you just send the same type of communication for entire audience, because that doesn't work, right? And we also don't want it to irritate the learners by sending them more content which is not relevant to them, right?
Correct.
So if we clearly know, let's say if it is a cost factor, we are sending a lot of today, even for students there is a lot of sponsorships, right?
Hmm.
We are giving scholarships, we are giving EMI options, right? So whenever there are cases where learners are not able to purchase, just only the reason being the cost, then there can be a lot of communications which can be sent to them on the what are the other available payment options, right?
Right.
And then followed by something like where they can also interact with the other learners, see what are the success stories by so that will help us for the speedy decision making. So
Right.
that is something what I would suggest.
Right. So, I mean, nurturing can does nurturing also depends on how the lead is or that custom potential customer is responding your communication. I mean, does that is that factored in while we are looking at how further to nurture that lead or what sort of communication we should send?
Yeah, definitely. See, like as a counselors, it is primarily important for them to understand how these leads are getting activated, right? So they need to understand where are these coming from, how these leads are getting activated, what sort of communications are being sent to these learners before the reactivation, right? So that their conversation will be contextual, right?
Hmm.
So that they will also speak the same language, they will also know what is the intent of that particular buyer, so that they will be able to cater to that need faster. See, otherwise what will happen is then the counselors will follow their own process, their own content, which may not be very relevant to the learner at that point in time, right?
Right.
Some of these learners today, they don't spend much time, right? Maximum, you might have like a 30 minutes or 20 minutes of a discussion,
Hmm.
and you need to ensure that you are only giving the information what the learner needs, instead of
Correct.
again you probing. If you're going to probe that particular learner for 5 to 10 minutes, you're already losing that particular learner. So it's very
Right.
important you spend some time to understand where the learner is coming from, what kind of content he has seen, how many times he has visited the website before the lead got reactivated. Once you get all that context, for the
Hmm.
counselors also, it is much easier to get a higher conversion rate.
Right. Uh, Got it. Assuming that we've converted the lead, right? Because we've spoken about so much about the sales process. Uh, Coming on to the post sales journey, what do you think? I mean, how important is the post sales experience for any customer who's already gotten onboarded?
Right, correct. See, after the post sales, even before post sales also, we are using a lot of technology, right? And even post sales also, we are using a lot of technology, right? Completely depends how we are giving the how is our value proposition clear to the users, right?
Right.
How we are able to communicate our unique benefits of the platform, how personalized our learning is, right? So all that is very important for the learner to be satisfied.
Hmm.
One is he should get a clear value proposition for whatever the money he has paid to us.
Hmm.
Second, today all the platforms are having the immersive learning and adaptive learning, right? And they should be able to access it on all the devices. They will access sometimes on tab, on sometimes on their smart TV, sometimes on their mobile, right? So we should be able to provide them a complete user friendly interface on all their touch points, right? So because that is also a very important factor. A lot of times the learners, especially the students, they are always on the go. They always access their content only via mobile, right?
Hmm.
So it's very important that how you are going to cater to that content and how engaging is your content. Today a
Right.
lot of companies are following the adaptive content, right? So adaptive content in the sense what exactly the learner is looking for, and then particular learner will get the the recommendation based on that particular learning path, right? Even they don't read too much of content at a short period of time. They might also look for just like micro learning, right? Just one particular module they wanted to learn at a particular point, and all our recommendation or reading material should also be based on that, right? So based on how all these things you are clearly catering to that particular learner, he will be more satisfied with you. So that's how the post sales, because it's just not about just collecting that money from the
Correct. Right.
learner, right? After that,
Yeah.
how satisfied he is in your index. Is he 90% satisfied, 80% satisfied, 75% satisfied? Based on that, he's going to give you that referral, right? If he's
Hmm.
really satisfied and he's really enjoying that learning and he's having an impact, right?
Hmm.
What is that kind of outcome is getting from the by that particular program? Based on that only your referral will happen. If he's really good, then each learner can give you even more than 5 10 referrals also.
Right. I think that very interesting point you made about adaptive learning, right? Which is part of what the customer is getting right now, the learner is getting right now, and how I'm able to improve that content basis the feedback and basis the interaction of the learner.
Yes.
So, uh, I mean, related to this, right? We've seen a lot of people talking about generative AI, right, which has become kind of a rage these days. But even before talking about generative AI, it's a one step forward to what we have right now in AI. So, what I want to understand from you, have as an industry, as an edtech industry, have we been able to utilize the entire complete potential of AI itself? And do you think generative AI is the next step, or there's a lot to explore within AI?
See, it's very new today, and a lot of companies are exploring different use cases on the generative AI. And especially in edtech, it's really, really beneficial for the learners, right? See, if that particular generative AI is not there, how the students usually used to learn, they again go to different mediums, different platforms, and they used to search for those queries, and then they used to get some pre-built content only, right? Those
Hmm.
content are not designed for that specific query, right?
Hmm.
So again, he is spending a lot of time outside of the platform, right?
Hmm.
So today with the help of the generative AI, we are able to pull all the content which is out there on the web, and then we can cater to the learner on what is the specific ask.
Right.
So that will help him to keep him confined to the same platform, so that his learning is fully immersive.
Yeah, more from the learning perspective, right? I mean, talking about the kind of experience the learner is having, or more, maybe this is the post sales journey. From the sales perspective, how do you think the AI part can actually help, and how can it enable the sales counselors to kind of do better and have a higher conversion?
Yeah. See, for sales, if you look at the earlier, if sales have to prepare any content, they need to go to the content team, right? If they need to go prepare any collateral, they need to again go to the design team, right? So now all that, all the knowledge is available for them instantly, right?
Hmm.
They don't even need to ask anyone, right? So especially if we are going to today, a lot of even companies are experimenting with the LLMs, right? Where we feed all the content which is proprietary, and then so that that can enable the teams within the company. right?
Mm.
So whenever like especially if we can develop those sort of learning for the sales team. So let's say example, if any learner is asking anything with respect to a if I can give you an example, let's take an data science master's program, right?
Mm.
Which is very elaborative, right? It's like a 3 years kind of master's program, and it's not really possible for the sales teams to understand all the technicalities in that particular master's program, right?
Right.
So if learners have any query in terms of whether, okay, are you teaching this module, or are you teaching this particular tool, are
Right.
you teaching this particular tool, this latest version, right? So those answers can be the sales teams can get those answers via the generative AI immediately, right? So that can give you that yes or no answer which he can communicate. So otherwise, you'll have to put that caller on hold, or you will have to say, okay, let me get back to you with the information, and then you send an email out again, and then the learner is not going to respond to you, right? Like today, not many people are very instant with your email communication. Today everything is happening on the WhatsApp only, right?
Right.
So these kind of tools we can definitely adapt that can help the sales team to get you the higher conversion. The reason being, they are also getting that answers instantly, right? They
Right.
also don't need to wait for any other teams to give you that information. They can prepare their own content, they can prepare their own sales script, they
Mm.
can even prepare their own kind of curriculum based on the ask. Today, like a lot of companies, like they also want to have a skilling for their teams, right?
Mm.
And then they also ask a custom curriculum, right? Today,
Right.
even with via generative AI, you can create the custom curriculum based on the need of the particular BU, right? And
Right.
then you can instantly send the code.
Mm. So
That's how it
basically,
helps.
yeah. So basically, it is helping in faster response in a way,
Yes.
because the sales counselor does not have to wait and depend on others to get the right answers. Also, what I want to understand from you, right? Talking about responding to the queries of the potential customer. This comes when we've already identified what program to sell to a potential customer, right? So, do you think AI can actually help the sales counselor with a better understanding of what likely this customer is about to, I mean, what likely they're about to buy, or what could be the best program which they should kind of sell and pitch to this potential customer?
Yeah, so for this particular use case, say example, there are certain learning path, right? Like there are some learners who have a lifelong learning. You would have seen even in certifications, some customers, learners, they used to do multiple certifications to upskill themselves and stand out in the job market, right?
Right.
So all in those scenarios, the AI is very helpful to give us the recommendations, right?
Mm.
So if a particular person is graduated and he is already working in a specific industry, like in IT industry, and he's working in the programming domain, then the AI can give us a recommendation on what are the different programs that he can choose, and at what particular stage, right?
Right.
Because like even the learning has to be in that particular order so that he will have the best benefit, right? So
Mm.
in those scenarios, the AI recommendations are very helpful for the sales teams, because they don't need to worry about, okay, what do I suggest to that learner, right? They
Mm.
otherwise they're going to suggest the same thing and again and again. So instead, they can actually take the help of the AI recommendation engines, so that
Mm.
based on the learner's input, like the learner also will give it some basic input. Based on the input, the AI will give you the recommendation what kind of learning path they can choose, so that they will be able to stand out in the job market.
Okay. So, in a way, how can selling be improved with the help of the tools which are available to us? How it can actually lead to better conversion? While we talked about program recommenders, we talked about solving the queries better. But in a nutshell, what do you think AI has brought into this play in this space which was not earlier there?
Okay. See, I have not yet used any such integrated tool. But I've spoken to a few people who are working in these areas, especially in the sales domain. You also know there's a lot of technologies that are coming to make the sales people are more champions, right?
Right.
So what it happens is today the sales people have a very less information about a learner, right?
Hmm.
Apart from his PII information, they only know about what is his interest in terms of the program only, but they don't know anything about what is their background, what sort of need is there, what is the current trend in the market, right? So in
Right.
all these cases, there are a lot of integrated tools that are coming that is giving you that enrichment in terms of the learner's data, right?
Hmm.
So instead of just only having a basic information, the tools are giving you a lot more enriched data, and also more of connected data for you, right, to help you, especially in a B2B business, right, where you are talking to a lot of decision makers.
Right.
You need a lot more data than the basic data what they have inputted on your website, right?
Hmm.
In these specific scenarios, the AI are very helpful, where it is giving you, okay, is he a decision maker in the company, what kind of the background, the career background they have, right? Just on within few seconds you get all this information via the system, right? You don't need to search and hunt for those information. Earlier you'll have to hunt for those information, because each of this information are scattered in different platforms, right?
Hmm.
But today, with the integrated systems and with the help of the AI, the B2B folks are able to get these informations very handy. So they are able to even cater to those needs in terms of answering their query,
Hmm.
or they are trying to influence this particular, the inquiry via somebody else where they have a contact, right? So all that is happening today. So I think in coming days there will be a lot more tools that will help the sales teams to bring in the the higher conversion rates, right? And today, not even conversion rate, we are also looking at the kind of numbers that each salesperson is bringing, because we are all looking for that profitability.
Right. I mean, one question. Do you think technology, AI, it is working as an enabler for the sales counselors, or do you think it can also replace the sales counselors? I think
Okay.
this would be my conclusion type of question where I would want to understand what are your thoughts around this
Yeah.
discussion topic.
See, technology is always an enabler. Even if you look at the past 10, 15 years of growth, we have come across a lot of technologies in this industry, right? None of the technologies have replaced the jobs. It has only, taken away those mundane jobs what people are doing without, uh, any contribution, right? But
Right.
then it has opened up a lot more options for them, right?
Hmm.
Earlier, people would think, okay, so this particular technology would replace all these teams,
Hmm.
but then that technology has brought in more opportunities, right? Yeah, it was sure that they were not doing those jobs today, but then
Hmm.
those jobs are done by the technology, so now they have more time to focus on other set of opportunities which are more valuable to the society, right?
Right.
So in that way, if you look at even sales, even I think maybe around 3 or 4 months back, we work with few companies where instead of the sales teams making the call, there are AI bots who's making the call as real as an human, right? So when you talk to the particular agent, you won't feel like it's a bot. You will
Right.
think it is a real human who is having a conversation with you, right? So those are new things which are coming, because that is helping them. Say today, even if you are getting 10,000 leads, but then you can't hire that many number of people, right?
Correct.
That will become very expensive. So instead, these technologies are coming that can help you to cater to the leads, because for you the time is reducing. You
Hmm.
will also be able to more qualify the leads, right?
Right.
Now you don't need to talk to those 10,000 people and then identify, okay, out of 10,000, maybe 40% is the real qualified lead,
Right.
Right today, when we talk about the MQL and SQL, sales team always want those qualified and nurtured leads so that their conversion and their productivity is much better, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, if they are talking to those people who don't even know what is the basic criteria to do that particular program, uh,
Hmm.
we don't need to talk to them, right? So all
Right.
that can be addressed via a sales bot,
Right.
and it is as good as a human. It actually explains you much more in detail. They can spend more time, right? So that way, definitely, the AI is going to be an enabler for all the companies, so
Right.
that the even if you look at the sales teams, the marketing teams, or the business teams, they will have much more time to do more productive task at hand.
Right. Got it. Understood. I think this brings us to the conclusion of this discussion. Would be happy to take any questions if any audience have.
Yeah, actually, we've got a lot of questions in the landing page when people were registering for the session itself. We had gotten a couple of questions. So I'll just read out from there. Maybe, Rajesh, you can throw some light upon. You did briefly mention how the processes for a B2B company versus a B2C company is a little bit different, and even the sales cycle is different. So, if you could share your thoughts on what should be the ideal sales funnel when it comes to a B2C edtech versus a B2B school.
Okay, okay. Uh, yeah, in terms of the B2C and B2B, the major difference in terms of the decision making only, right? So the B2C, they can make an instant decision. The process is simple. As long as you can explain the benefit to a particular learner, he can make the decision and then he can buy. He's an individual, right? So that way, the entire the sales funnel is very different, right? So it is, we call it as an AIDA, right? So one is the you create that awareness, then you create that interest, then you create that desire, and then he takes that action, right? So it's just like a four step, right? So you don't need to spend much there, but rather if you come to the B2B funnel, the B2B funnels and the sales cycles are much longer, because it is not the one person in the company who's making the decision, but rather than it is a team of individuals in a department or in a company makes that decision, right? So the touch base for us in a B2B business is more, and there is a lot more things you need to do to nurture the lead in a B2B, right? Like you might have to share them some kind of an ebook, you need to share some kind of a case study, how you have how you have created impact for other businesses, right? So even the typical B2B sales cycle can be from 45 days to as long as 180 days as well, right? So the B2B funnel is much longer, but a B2C funnel is very small. So it is very easy for you to address the B2C funnel.
Understood.
I think
And
one
I
more
think also
difference
when it
here would
comes to,
be
yes, sorry.
one more difference here would be in terms of the program, right? In B2B, the program will be more custom made. It can be custom made because there are a lot of people who are gonna consume that content which you're gonna provide, and even the deal size is bigger. While in B2C, more of the programs would be more standard programs, probably, and they may not be custom built unless, I mean, it's very specific to an edtech, right? But most of the edtech would have very standard programs for a B2C sort of a customer.
Yeah. You don't need to tailor made those programs, but B2B always will be a tailor made programs as per the company need.
True, 100%. I think one of the next questions that the people had asked was about, we were talking about how leads require a lot of nurturing. Not every lead that comes into our funnel is ready to buy. So, how do we exactly align the sales and marketing teams to build that nurturing system or the nurturing process?
Yeah. See, today, all the teams have to work together, right? Like earlier it was more a siloed team, right? So there are separate sales team, business teams, marketing teams, but today in the current demand in the market, all the teams have to work integrated, so that they will be able to cater to the needs of the learners, right? And the need is also very dynamic, right? It's not that we planned something and we continuously follow, right? Like if you look at maybe 2 years back, email was the biggest communication channel, right? Or you make the calls. Those are the only two channels out there. But today, all the people want the information via WhatsApp, right? So they, whenever they ask, you need to be available for them to address those queries, right? And then again, it is not only about the text query, it also requires the content that you need to share across different channels. You should be able to share the same content via WhatsApp, via an email, or via an SMS, or even during the call, right? So that is why it's very important that the sales teams, marketing teams, and the business teams work together, so that they'll be able to identify what kind of content needs to be created at what kind of stage, right? So that they know, okay, so this is the particular point when they need to share this particular content, right? And all that collateral, how they wanted to organize, right? So even there are multiple systems, even if the CRM can be one, but then again, the people have to jump into some other set of tools to internally to identify those collaterals, those programs, those curriculums, the trainer informations, etc., right? So it's good if all the teams working together, so that at any point in time you will be able to quickly change and create those content, and then make the learners be aware of that particular the program. So it can be even see like, today there is a lot of demo classes, master classes, there is a mentoring sessions, they need one-to-one cohorts, right? So the demand is very dynamic in nature today. That is why it's very important they collaborate and work together.
Are there any particular cues or any particular notifications that can be a part of the process where, okay, if there is a kind of disposition that the sales team puts in, then the marketing team should be automatically notified that, okay, this is the kind of content you should start sending out, or this is the nurturing cycle they should be put in. So, how can sort of the automation as well as notification play a role in that?
Yeah. See, a lot more times we get the information from the learner itself, right? Say, example, you might have put all the content on the website with, and learners also come in, and then they come in and they request for that curriculum, and they also come in and they maybe, let's say, you might have a brochure, or you might have a entire curriculum as a downloadable material. So they request, they read it, but then they will also come back to you with a query, right? Maybe something latest which is coming in the market will not be available, right? Let's say even chat gpt, a lot more people will ask, okay, do you also include chat gpt in this curriculum, right? Whenever we get a query, then that query basically comes to the sales team only, because they are the first interactive point for any learners, not the marketing teams. So those informations have to be passed by the learners to the marketing teams, so that all these collaterals and all these materials can be amended by the marketing teams or the business teams. So any of these notification, it's very important if they have a specific dispositions. Like example, if you look at the like the service tools, right, like the ticketing tools, so they already have a pre-built collaboration system. When there is a need and then which is addressed by a different department, then the notification directly goes to the different department. But in CRM, maximum the sales teams are only available, not the business teams or the marketing teams, right? So there should be some kind of a notification or some channel where the sales teams can share this, and also ensure, okay, whatever the feedback they have given and those feedbacks are addressed. Otherwise, what will happen is, as you know, there will be multiple threads going on, and then we all lose track of those the email threads as well.
True. I think that is the thing. I mean, with Lead Square, that is one of the sort of problems that we can solve, because both marketing as well as sales teams and operations can sort of use the same system, have the same amount of visibility on what kind of conversations have been ongoing on leads, and what kind of collaterals have been shared, because there's a proper tracked history which is there available on the platform. The next question that we got was around, like, we know that everybody in this day and age of competition, everybody is number one and everybody is the best. So how in that era, how do we exactly attract the good students and help them get that trust that no, indeed, even though everybody else is claiming that they are the best, here is the proof that we are indeed the best.
Yeah, so no, it's a good question, Jagrati. So this is where the impact or the outcome is very important, right? Even though the value or the USPs of the company sometimes can be the same, but the impact or the outcome that they are giving to the learners is always very important, right? Like the when I say outcome, it can be a job or it can be a career transition because of that particular skilling. What is their career transition, right? How it has helped them in their life, right? So because end of the day, it is not okay what they have learned with us, but also how they have implemented those learnings in their organizations, and how an organization got benefited based on the learning, right? So all these outcomes will define how a company will be able to sustain on a longer run, right? So the more you are able to help the learners create those good outcomes, the more you will be able to sustain in the market.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. I think, yeah, this is one of the greatest takeaways that we should have as a business, because once we are able to at least help the leads or people who are trying to discover us get that understanding of the value proposition we provide and the kind of outcomes that people who have already associated with us have achieved, that is when I think it starts building that trust and that first conversation and the foot in the door that we get. We actually have a question here from one of the audience members. This is from Asmita. She has asked, how can we complete a lead journey from call to conversion in a week?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, 7 days conversion is always some, it's a dream for everyone, right? So uh, it completely depends on what is the, we can categorize the leads, especially the intent from where the leads are coming. Especially, if we are able to filter the high intent leads and then address the leads at the earliest, right? The conversion cycle is very less for those leads, right? Only the leads which are coming from non-intent channels, right? So there the sales cycles are much longer. But if you look at the channels where the people are coming from, because like even you can just imagine like our common buying cycle, like even if we are planning to buy, we would have done the research for maybe longer period, right? It is not that today I'm thinking to buy a TV and then tomorrow I'm placing an inquiry, right? So I would have thought about buying a TV maybe for a week's time or maybe for 15 days, right? But that moment when there is a clear need, I'm ready to buy, that is when I'm going to put that inquiry on the website, right? Because I'm clearly saying, okay, this is the type of the TV, this is the inch I want and everything, right? So when there is a clear intent, and if you can address that need immediately, say if you look at the general research, when you can address the lead with less than 20 minutes to 30 minutes, the conversion are much higher, right? Even for an intent based lead, the conversion can be more than even 40%, 50%, right? And then the sales cycle also is very less for those high intent leads. So if you are able to cater to the leads um, as soon as possible, the first response time should be less. Your follow-ups should be at least 3 to 4 times in that 7 days. And even with the follow-up, if you are able to nurture them with the proper content, then your sales cycle can be as low as 7 days.
I hope that answers your question, Asmita. And thank you so much, Rajesh and Mansi. If you have any concluding thoughts on the topic, it would be great to hear from you.
Okay, I'm still thinking.
So yeah, any concluding thoughts on how edtechs can sort of charge forward and improve their conversion rates?
Yeah. So I think from my side, what I understand is, and what is very, very important is that your sales cycle and the sales process has to be coupled with the technology, right? I mean, if you say that starting from lead generation to the closure, I can do it without technology. I think probably while you will be able to do that, but if you're looking building scalable business, looking at how you can convert better and also with less cost. I think it is very, very important to kind of set those process right. And to set those process right, you would need some sort of a tool, right? So, concluding thought. It's not actually a concluding thought, but I think this is very, very important. And we should also look at how the market is moving, right? Because majority of our discussion was around AI. I think we should also look at how AI can help us. While for a smaller business, they may think that this is not something which we should focus on, but we should focus on building the revenue. But I think it is important to kind of stand out, right? To stand out in terms of the experience and the value which they are providing. Yeah, Rajesh, if you have any concluding thoughts for the audience.
Yeah, so the my concluding thought would be like, the salespeople or the marketing should not be afraid to try new things, or the try latest technologies, because that's where the enhancement will come from, right? If we are continuing to do the same traditional things, then for us the progress is going to be very slow. But if salespeople or the marketing folks are not afraid to try anything new, right? Uh, that will bring a lot more impact to the organizations, right? Because today all the organizations are moving towards the profitability. So it's very important, that we, even like today, even WhatsApp is also a latest technology, right? Today a lot of sales is happening via the WhatsApp itself, right? The closures are happening via WhatsApp, not even on the calls, right? Especially like the student, the corporate, they don't even have the time to pick those calls. So it's very important, like how we are going to leverage these technologies and how soon we are going to leverage, that's very important. So my conclusion is that let's try what are the latest technologies available, and that should help.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Man, for taking time. Thank you, Rajesh, for taking time. I hope the audience also had a fun interactive session. And see you. Have a good evening.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.